Yo! Welcome to the Literature is Lit show. Today we are focusing on more of a sci-fi angle with Octavia E. Butler's Parable of the Sower. We'll be examining some ideas regarding narcotics from the book and thinking about if the world Butler imagined is actually a possibility. We will be discussing all this with highly revered sci-fi professor at the University of Harvard's Harold Gadd. Nice to see you, Harry.
Great to see you, Steve. How you doing?
So, Harold,
Yeah.
what's your take on Butler's issue regarding the increased use of narcotics? What effect does it have on her society and even ours today?
Well, Stephen, I've come across this question many times in my career.
Yes.
Every time, the answer seems to change. There's really not one way to look at it, but if I had to, I would say that the issues presented by Butler is that the drugs have had a huge influence on society. That really they can alter the viewpoints of how people see the world, which not only satisfies the users, but it makes them open to danger. Butler really critiques the government and society's ways of how they dealt with this drug epidemic in the late 1980s. Because around the time there was a massive outbreak of crack cocaine, which she uses to influence her own made-up drugs, Pyroteco and Pyro, in the novel.
Saucy.
Yeah. Yes. The job of Pyroteco was to help the people retain knowledge easily. It's really has sort of an Adderall effect, if you will. However, with time, the side effects of such drugs really broke out, and in the Parable of the Sower, the parasito,
Yeah, I know what you're speaking of.
Yeah, that drug.
It's a hard one to pronounce.
Yeah, really. It might have been the reason for Lauren's mother's death. We're not very positive, but all the signals seem to point in that direction. So, as you can see, Pyro, however, it really affects people very negatively. Keith says that he saw a guy get both of his eyes gouged out after that, and they set him on fire and watched him run around and scream and burn. Can be found on page 97-98 in the novel.
Thank you.
If you're wondering for that.
If the audience will please turn to that page in their books,
Yeah.
It's under your seats.
Yeah, and the drug Pyro really makes people enjoy being on fire while wanting to kill and eat the rich people, people who have the assets that they require. Both drugs are really, like most drugs today, harmful with negative side effects to follow. We can really relate to them as with drugs, real-world examples, so it really hits home.
Yeah.
For me personally, and I know it probably does for the reader as well. And really, it's really just, it's not, drugs are bad, kids.
They're bad.
Really, if you're watching,
They're just bad.
they're not good.
Alright?
Yeah.
Don't do them.
No.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just move right on. So, does the issue of drug abuse exist in today's world, would you say?
Well, now that you bring that up, I would say it is a huge problem in today's society. Definitely. The access to drugs is beyond my mental capacity, how easy it is to obtain drugs today.
Almost gross.
Oh, disgusting.
You'd say.
Yes. Rightfully so, gross.
Yes.
So kids can get drugs very easily. People use drugs for either fun, to escape reality because of psychological troubles they're facing in their own lives. In America, for example, the increased use of drugs is very high. There are so many people that use drugs. I actually have some numbers that I would like to break out, if you will. Just
Yeah, please.
yeah. I've come prepared, as you see. Excuse me. Sorry. My eyesight isn't what it used to be. So the statistics are mind-blowing. For me and you personally, I know. So, 61 million Americans are hooked on cigarettes alone. Cancer sticks. Can you believe that? 16 to 20 million are addicted to alcohol or abuse it regularly.
I mean, that's just gross.
More than 15 million abuse prescription drugs. 15 million smoke marijuana.
I mean, your brain.
Yeah. 2.4 million use cocaine.
I mean, jeez.
Jeez.
Read a book.
Yeah, oh, please, why don't you? 600,000 use crack. Hundreds of thousands are hooked on heroin. We're talking black tar, China white, all types. More than 750,000 are methamphetamine users. Like, what is the deal with that?
I mean,
I don't get the draw at all.
Think for like just a moment.
Yeah.
That's all I ask.
1 million use ecstasy and hallucinogens. Like, go home to the wife and kids.
Yeah.
You know, have a time, spend time with your family. Almost 2 million of our children have used steroids. Getting the gains. I mean, hit the gym.
Come on.
Really just put in that work yourself.
Get some C4.
Exactly what I'm saying. Creatine. All healthier alternatives. 4.5 million teens abuse controlled prescription drugs like Oxycontin, Ritalin, and Adderall to get high. Yeah. And, you know, I think this one really just sets the tone just for society today and the relation to the novel that today 17% of state prisoners and 18% of federal inmates said that they committed their current offense either on drugs or to obtain drugs.
Jeez, all right, that's some moving information you have there.
And I could go on for days.
I believe.
But I'm just gonna stop myself.
I believe. Let's just move on before I myself. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, let me check my itinerary here. All right, let's move to the next question.
Please, I'm getting riled up over here. We can tone it down, please.
Is there a way we can even solve this problem of drug abuse before it mimics Butler's vision and becomes a problem in today's real world?
You know, this question really keeps me up at night. This one right here, because I feel like I have the solution to this problem. I feel that it's simple, really. By setting up more rehab centers and frequently drug test people in places such as work and school, there can be constant monitoring on drug abuse for the teens in our society and people of our generation who've been around the block a couple times. Not our first rodeo. We know how it goes, you know? So this will then prevent the use of drugs because there will be consequences and that will follow if someone like were to use drugs or get high or because really if you will you know, if for example someone were to show up to work, fail a drug test, he or she would risk their jobs for drugs, you know, yes. I'm glad you feel as strongly as I do.
Come on.
Which would make most people, like, you know, not want to risk that they would come to the job high, you know? Who would want to do that? Risk their job. So they're just going to cut it out altogether. You know, really help them take care of themselves, take care of their families. In the long run, you know, as long as they stay straight, on the straight and narrow, really put their lives in perspectives, these rehabilitation centers would offer those already hooked on, or beginning to be hooked on, to get help. So, bright future.
All right. So, thanks for coming in again, Harold.
Wow.
Thanks again, Harold, for everything.
My
Thanks
pleasure.
for coming on.
Please. Call me Harry. Call me Harry. At this point.
Yeah, I will. All right, that's all we have today, and I just wanted to say to the audience.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Don't you yell at the...
Migo! ASAP! Whoop! What up? a dirty fountain. That's what I call a trouble counter. Take the blood, hold 'em